Hello and welcome to Home Media Minefield presents Let's See What's Out There, an entertainment video stream focused on film, television and related media. My name's Keith Eyles. I am an independent filmmaker and a lifelong enthusiast of movies and television. I love films. I like watching them, obviously. I also like reading about them and analysing them and discussing them. And I'm very pleased for today's show to be able to discuss a film with some filmmakers that recently showed their film. They had it debut at Fright Fest 2022. Now, normally we do a Fright Fest post show where me and a lot of Fright Fest mates come on and we sort of talk about this year's lineup and go through the films and things of that nature. Unfortunately, we haven't had time to do that this year because we've all been busy out making films of our own. So haven't been able to sort anything out until now. But I'm really delighted that one of the films that played at Fright Fest this year was called Midnight Peepshow. And it played at midnight on one of the, I think it was the second night of Fright Fest. And I am really pleased to have, it was a collaborative anthology type film. And I'm really pleased to have two of the filmmakers that were involved in that joining me today. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to the stream Airell Anthony Hayles. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Good to see you, Keith. I'm very well.
Good to see you too. And Andy Edwards. Welcome, Andy.
Hey.
How are you both?
Good. Yeah.
We're all in our
Fright Fest is over.
Fright Fest uniform of black.
Yes. I'm wearing one of the Fright Fest t-shirts. I think there were 3 designs this year. And I normally put the program up behind me, but I couldn't put my hands on that at the moment. So, but, you know, how was Fright? Obviously, Fright Fest was a special one for you this year, but just a bit of background. I mean, how long have you guys been going to Fright Fest? I mean, I know, Airell, you and I have known each other for some years,
Long time,
various circles, and I've always thought it was Fright Fest, but you corrected me on that the other day. And
it was a read-through for a horror movie that you were doing when, ages ago. But with Fright Fest, I love it. And my first one was when they played Trick or Treat, which is a really great Michael Dougherty horror trilogy film, actually. And I love that movie. And John Landis was sat behind me, and I saw him walking around Piccadilly Circus, looking at the old American Werewolf in London locations, and I just thought, wow, Fright Fest is home. It's really good. So this year was great movies. I actually caught up with some last night. A film called Who Invited Them, which was really great. Some of them have gone on to Shudder.
Oh, yes.
Really good film. And this year was had some really great movies, and it's great to be part of it.
Yeah. But what about you, Andy? What's your history with the boys at Fright Fest?
I think my first one that I ever went to was the year they played The Host, the Korean monster movie. And I remember, I think I was sat in front of Darren Browne, if you're talking about
wow, that's also
crazy people who were sat there. I used to work, one of my many jobs, used to work at XFM, the radio station, which was just over the road from the Odeon where it was on at the time. And they used to give out free tickets. And so I used to be like, oh, I want those tickets rather than giving them to Liz. And so, if any hadn't been won or claimed or whatever, I used to get the tickets and go. And then obviously I started kind of going more and more and going, I'd quite like to have a film play here one day.
No, absolutely. And look at that. You've accomplished it, which is fantastic. I feel it's really important to say quite early now in the show for anybody watching is we're not going to talk any spoilers, or we're going to try and avoid spoilers as much as possible because the film, as of yet, I believe, is not on general release. And
not yet.
We'd love if you're finding this this podcast, this video stream, and you're watching and listening to this, we'd obviously love you to check the film out as and when it's available. So we're not going to spoil it. What I'm more interested in talking about today is kind of the history of it, the production of it, and how it came to be. But before that, I mean, I know you guys have both worked in the industry and you've made things previously. So I just wondered whether you could give us a little bit of background, first of all, of your history with films, you know, when as a child you found films, maybe whether you've always had an interest in horror or not, I don't know, but that sort of thing, how you sort of got into it, and then what you've worked on since you've got into it up until doing Midnight Peep Show. So Andy, we'll start with you.
Okay, wow, this is quite a lot of ground to cover. So I'll try and get through it as quickly as possible.
You've got plenty of time.
First, well, let me take you back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So yeah, I think my pretty much earliest memory overall, let alone film memory, is going to watch a double bill of Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back in about, I think it was about 83, I think. And I think I was about 4 or 5. That'll date me there. And yeah, obviously that kind of changed my life, changed my whole world. But as well as being interested in the film, I had the little toys and everything. I also used to get the books on the making of. So I was, fascinated by how they made it all. And then I think kind of fast forward to the next kind of big event in my filmmaking life was probably as a teenager. And me and my mates, we used to hire films like Evil Dead and the early Peter Jackson films from the video shop and watch them. And I think that was the first time that I kind of had the thought that, oh, actually, I could maybe do this, because you watch Star Wars and obviously it's amazing, and then you read the making of, and the making of is thousands and thousands of people spent billions and billions of dollars and made all of these things, and then you watch, Bad Taste, and then you go, oh, actually, that looks like something that a guy from Birmingham and 3 of his mates could do. So suddenly it becomes not this thing that you could never ever touch. It becomes something that you can feel possibly something that you could get to. And obviously horror is the genre. And yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to rent horror movies from the local video shop and watch them over and over again. Yeah, that's how I got into horror, really.
Fair enough. And what about? I mean, that sounds like a very similar story to mine, in fact. But how did you actually get into filmmaking? I mean, did you go to film school, or did you just get on and make films?
I used to make a lot of short films when I was younger, and I didn't go to film school, but I did film studies at university. There was very much not a practical course. It was very much theoretical. We didn't make very many films. And then I kind of went off on a tangent, and I had to earn money. I wasn't from a background that had any money, and I wasn't, connected in any way to the industry. So I just kind of bummed around for a bit, did different jobs, worked in radio for quite a while, and that kind of scratched the creative itch. So I worked in radio for quite a few years. And then I stopped working there and thought, oh God, remember I used to like films? Maybe I should. When I say stop working in radio, I got made redundant. So I suddenly had some time. And started making short films. And those short films were a series of zombie films called House Party of the Dead. And they're all on YouTube or Vimeo. And you can very much see an evolution. Because the first film I made was shot in my flat in one evening, and the zombie makeup was like ketchup and cornflakes, I think, up to people's faces, and everybody was drunk or stoned who was in the film. And then I just kind of used that as my film school, really. and I ended up making 6 of them. So by House Party of the Dead 6, we had about 30 or 40 extras. We had a crane, jib shots, we had digital effects, and then I kind of thought, after doing 6 of those zombie movies, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a feature, and that's what led to Ibiza and Dead. And it was literally like all the films were called House Party of the Dead, and they were about people partying whilst the zombie apocalypse happened. So it was kind of like, where better than Ibiza? And that's where the idea for Ibiza and Dead came. And so that was my first full feature film. I did a couple of anthologies before that, but that was the first full feature. And that also played at Fright Fest. That was back in 2016.
Right.
And there you go.
There you go. What about you, Airell? A similar sort of thing?
Yeah, it's probably a different path a little bit. So I used to go to Saturday morning cinema when I was a kid.
Right.
And in Hastings, where I'm one of 11 children, which was always a big audience if you're watching a horror movie at home.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't 11 at that time, it got to 11. But going to Saturday morning cinema was movies like The Karate Kid and not Gremlins, actually, probably for that, but Labyrinth and The Goonies and Ghostbusters. And I remember I was really, really scared in Ghostbusters when that woman in the beginning of the film is reading a library book.
Yeah.
And the Ghostbusters say, "Oh, let's approach her." She goes, kind of screams.
It's the scariest bit of the film, and nothing else in that film is that scary. The first 5 minutes are, and as a kid, it traumatizes you.
It's such a good moment. And a girl next to me said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I thought, "Oh, this is good. This is high adrenaline, even in a movie that wasn't that scary." And then the other one that I thought was going to be really terrifying was Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. And it obviously it's not at all. But when I was walking to it, I was really scared. And my dad was saying, "You're right." And I was like, "Yeah, Teen Wolf's going to be good." And it wasn't that scary. But then other things were. So The Company of Wolves was great when I was a young kid.
Oh, yes.
What a great movie. The Howling. Michael Jackson's Thriller is fucking terrifying. When he is on the ground transforming, that was a real moment of wow, that's really scary werewolf moment. So there were these 80s movies, and a desire to, Freddy Krueger was a big deal, and Ghostwatch in 1992 was really scary.
Okay.
It was at 92. Yeah, I watched that at home, and like a lot of people, it was just so traumatizing to turn that on and believe that was real. So that got me hooked on the kind of supernatural stuff. And so following that path, I went to Goldsmiths University, studied theatre and film, and I'm quite good at sales as well. So I was able to raise money for feature films. And that's always annoying when you're raising money for a film that isn't yours.
Yes.
Really irritating process. So you're just giving them all this money and thinking, So I began raising money for my own films. And we did a film called They're Outside, which was at Fright Fest in digital format in the lockdown. So although it was really great to be at Fright Fest, and it actually helped us because that movie maybe on a smaller screen is actually a bit scarier. Folk horror about an agoraphobic woman and the pagan legend of the Green Man. In Hastings, they have Jack in the Green every year. So it kind of tied into that stuff. But it was good, and it was great to be part of Fright Fest. And then we had a film called Heckle with Steve Guttenberg, who I liked in movies like Cocoon and Three Men and a Baby and Short Circuit, which I love. So it's great to work with him. And we had that film, again, in a digital format at Halloween Fright Fest shortly afterwards. So third one, going on the bloody IMAX in the main screen was super exciting. It was just that IMAX screen, sneaking in to watch it was incredible.
Yeah. By the way, there's a picture there that I grabbed of you guys just when you were doing the intro. I think you got some of your cast members there as well. But you were just about to do the intro, and yeah, I mean that screen, I guess, can be quite intimidating, right?
I mean, it is when you're
that screen is very intimidating.
And you look up.
It is. Our actors
going up and up and up and up. Yeah, it's a big screen.
And our actors were terrified because they turned up, and I think they thought, some of them thought, oh, it's you know, what is it? It's going to be in a garden shed somewhere. So when they walked into the IMAX, and then they were like, oh, my head's going to be the size of a bus, and there's going to be reviews maybe. It's like, yeah, all of that stuff. And they were genuinely loving it, but they were seeming to be quite terrified as well.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think
we
some
were
of them
terrified too.
had been to Fright Fest. And
No.
Yeah, they didn't know. They thought it was kind of going to be a small little thing, and then saw the size of the screen, saw the size of the crowd, and yeah, I think their legs kind of went. But obviously, it being the midnight screening, that everyone had also had several drinks beforehand. So
it was really fun.
It played really well that night. I mean, it really did, you know, and it was fun. So, okay, let's get into this then. So, obviously, you're both involved as directors, but you're not the only directors on this, right? So we've got a few other, some would say quite well-known names within the horror community involved in this. So do you want to sort of tell us the story about how it all came to be before you actually got into any of the production, but how the sort of idea came to light and how you ended up collaborating with the other filmmakers?
Yeah, absolutely. So quick potted history is I wrote Midnight Peepshow some years ago, and it was dark and crazy, and it seemed like fun. Quite an ambitious anthology with a love of Amicus and Twilight Zone, the movie, and Creepshow and all of that stuff. Yeah. And a desire to look at sexual fantasies, which was just like, wow, that would be, there's a big erotic element to horror from movies like The Hunger all the way through to most films, really. And so to put that in the forefront, and for it to be a British film, because the British relationship to sex is quite funny, because we don't talk about it. So to make an anthology going, let's look at all of this, was just quite a funny idea. That script didn't work in the middle. There was a story that just didn't work in the middle of the film. And so I spoke to Andy. We worked on a film called The Unloved Ones with Craig Toohey. That's a film that might be coming out quite soon, quite a dark film. It's really great that he's made. And I said to Andy one day on set, have you got something that would fit the middle of something called Midnight Peepshow? Because I knew Andy had done things like Graphic Desires and erotic themed kind of content, and a bit of a naughty boy, really. And so he said, he had this thing called Fuck, Marry, Kill. And we know this game when you're in the pub and you say, oh, who would you fuck, marry, or kill? And it was a real life Saw version of that kind of thing. So that was great. And then that slid into the middle of the film, had a bit of comic relief, although it was led by horror. And then the first story was a home invasion story. And then the final story, The Black Rabbit, was very much an Alice in Wonderland kind of themed, rites of horrific passage. That's not the right way of putting it. It was about escalating through a website's challenge system into a kind of a dark web fantasy thing, which was inspired by things like Videodrome, and that was a lot of fun. That Jake West went so dark with that, because Jake had done things like Doghouse and Evil Aliens, which were fun and scary, but safe in a way because they were very comedic. But Jake went pitch black, apart from one moment in this film. It was like his Serbian film or his bunny game or something. It's really quite, to be on set for some of that stuff was quite scary to see. And so that was fun. And then Ludovica was great. So we met Ludovica, and she had a love of David Lynch and the Twilight Zone and all these things that we loved. And I really like that wraparound story, the way that old Soho is conjured up with this weird peep show madam in a kind of shape-shifting entity that is one of those 90s Peepshow booths at one drunken night I may have walked past, but definitely never went inside. I promise. So this whole thing came, and then you know, my idea to do this home invasion thing with a twist that I'd never seen before, and I really loved taking it in that direction. Putting all that together with this team was a dream, an absolute dream. So it began alone. Screenwriting is often quite a lonely process, and then it's fun because you get to bring, you know, being one of 11 children, as I said, I constantly want to be surrounded by a ton of people all the time. I just like it. It's more fun. And so this film, we did that. We had a big team.
Great. So Ludovica Musumeci?
Yes.
I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. So she did the wraparound story.
She did.
Is that right in this? Okay. And I know she's got credits for TV miniseries, Just Saying. She's done a few short films as well. So yeah, she's got some credits there, and obviously
her first feature, but she's working on like a debut feature just with herself.
Yeah, she's doing a really big project at the moment, I believe. Yeah,
fantastic. Is that why she couldn't join
as well
us?
after this as well? Yeah, I think she's working on that film. She's
always a busy woman.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then Jake West, I mean, his name, as I said, is quite well known. He's had some success. I remember Razor Blade Smile was probably the first time I heard his name, which was sort of in the late 90s. But he's done things like the ABC of Death and Evil Aliens, and yeah, quite a number of things as well. Yeah. So that's good. So you kind of, so it's 4 directors, one doing the wraparound, and then it's like you did the middle story, Airell, yeah.
I did the first story. So you got the wraparound, and then you got a home invasion story called Personal Space.
Right.
And I love my cast in that story. They were really great. And so that was a chamber piece. And then Andy's also was a one location piece with a slightly different tone. And then with the Black Rabbit, we opened the nightmare up in a much bigger way. Jake got more budget and more locations. Because because the script demanded it as well. I mean that Black Rabbit story just kept hopping about like a black rabbit everywhere.
Yeah. So, and I think the story did need. Obviously, you've seen 2 stories in a single location. It's nice to, for the last one, go right. Okay, we can have 6 or 7 locations. Show a bit, some wide shots, show a bit of the world. But yeah, for my section, the middle one. Because everything else was written beforehand, I can't very much see. I wasn't writing in isolation. I could see what all the other stories were and the tone and everything, and that's why I kind of said, because everything else is quite dark, I think you need some jokes in the middle, just to kind of give you that kind of a little bit of a palate cleanser between the home invasion and then a dark web story. Let's give, people still die. I'm not going to do any more spoilers than that, but and it's still a horror movie, but just put some jokes in just to kind of palate cleanser between the sections, and give you a bit of a roller coaster between, and then obviously it was about trying to integrate it in with the other stories, because a lot of anthologies are 3 separate shorts filmed in different countries at different times, different people. Whereas this hopefully should feel like a cohesive film.
It really does. The sales agents said that. Yeah.
Interlink. There are characters and themes that are there throughout.
Yeah.
So obviously at a script level, we made sure that all the stories kind of had some kind of linking structure to them. But then also in the actual making of, we had the same crew. And we swapped directors, so we shot it like a feature would be. Okay. Pretty much consecutively, bar Airell's COVID delays. Yeah. Pretty much consecutively, same DOP, same production designer, and then just swapped out the directors.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, actually, because you're absolutely right. As I said, we don't want to spoil the film, but it does feel like a feature rather than 3 or 4 short stories put together. So it did have that cohesiveness. And the thing I was going to ask was, from a production point of view, was were they treated as individual projects, or was it done as, like you said, like a feature? And you've answered that. So that's
Sorry,
so that's
jumping
cool.
ahead. Sorry, but yeah,
Great. I mean, that's perfect. So when
But yeah,
where
yeah,
actually shot, was this shot during COVID times?
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me a quick story about that. So the other directors went first, and they all survived that. So Andy was fine with that. Ludovica was fine with that. Jake was fine with that. It appeared that a lot of people caught something in that time. So when we got to my personal space segment right at the end, I had, I think, 3 COVID shutdowns where everybody turned up and then everyone went home. So the budget goes up every time that happens. It really, also you get amped, you get ready to go, and it really hurts. But of course, you know, you don't want anything like that to be a threat. So you've got to do what you got to do. One of the harder parts of that was there was a moment where somebody who had COVID, possibly in our costume department, was sent home, and we continued to shoot that night because she'd been isolated, but we had to burn or get rid of all her costumes. So before shooting, with about an hour to go, I was running around Zara, trying to, while it was shutting, while they were saying you got 10 minutes, trying to think, would the character wear this? And it was really, really annoying, really horrible situation. But it's one of those things. It's a fun kind of thing to look back on now. But to replace all the costumes with an hour to go was really, oh God, that was a tense moment. And then to go and shoot that night, chasing your tail. But the COVID stuff caught up with me. I didn't, some other projects that haven't come out yet, I didn't have any COVID issues, but here I got 3 COVID shutdowns. But fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
it's just an added thing that independent films has to deal with these days.
Yeah.
We've got, as if it wasn't hard enough, you have to test people, and then you have to shut it down or take people off sets if it rears its head. And it's another thing we don't need, but it's the reality. And at least we could continue still making films when a lot of people were in lockdown and couldn't do their jobs, couldn't do whatever. Films were largely immune from that as long as you kind of took precautions.
Fair enough. And so you mentioned then that even though you sort of wrote your individual pieces and obviously directed those segments, you had some, a lot of the crew were the same. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? I mean, your cinematographer's Vince Knight, is that right? Yeah. So
very talented DOP. Yeah. I'll tell you about Vince. He's a legendary guy. What Vince does, because you want your first AD and DOP to be going to battle with you. They're your key people. You want your cast to be great, but you've hopefully already cast them. But and they're really good. But in the moment, your first AD and DOP, Vince Knight, who we love to death, all of us, he gets right in there and he fights for shots. He fights for time, and he's so passionate about it, and he's so good at what he does. I think the look of Midnight Peepshow, and he's also color graded it. The things he's done with atmosphere and mood are phenomenal. So Vince is a real treasure. Anybody out there should seek him out.
Yeah, we'd all worked with him pretty much. He'd shot a film called Graphic Desires for me the previous year. He'd worked with Jake on some second unit stuff, I think. And he'd shot something for you, hadn't he? At least 2 films.
He did Werewolf Santa, which is coming out soon. Oh my God, that has taken a long time. The sound mix is very complex. And to do a werewolf film on a low budget,
the film would be complex, but
no, I mean neither. And to do a Werewolf Santa, to do a film called Werewolf Santa on a low budget is not advised, because you do need a Werewolf Santa, and we fleetingly do. But I'd like more Werewolf Santa. But no, that's a lot of fun. And he worked on that and the Krampus calendar, which is a found footage cursed advent calendar film. I've got quite a few seasons, kind of Christmas themed found footage things coming out, which were done in the beginning of lockdown. But Vince was great on all of those, and his lighting is always magical. And in Midnight Peep Show, the reason that sales agents and people are saying it feels like one movie is because of that uniform kind of lighting that does make it feel like one emotional journey with Midnight Peep Show.
Yeah, it definitely sort of captured that. It had that, midnight Soho, London look, but slightly stylized, if I may say so. In a cool way. I mean, I thought it looked good. Funny enough, he's worked with the team that I've just worked with, because he worked on a film called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and the film I've just done is with the team that made that film. So
I know those guys. Yeah. I've worked with those guys as well. Yeah.
So
team,
it's a small industry, isn't it? The independent film market. But yes,
this is why it pays to be good, and and everybody recommends everybody. And Vince worked on graphic designs with me, and some of those Scott, who does the Winnie Pooh movie, helped me out on that. And then he was like, "Oh, Vince is amazing," and he's then taken him on to do like 10 movies.
Yes,
because yourself, whenever you work on a film, there's always at least one person. You hope everybody is great in the crew, but there's always at least one person where you're like, you're good.
Yeah,
you're coming with me on the next one.
It's about people that not only are good at their job, but that you can that have got the right attitude, particularly when you're doing something that you haven't got a lot of time and money and all of that sort of thing, and it can get a bit, as we all know, film sets can be stressful places. So if you've got
the right team is everything. More and more.
It's about skill, and as you said, it's about temperament. And who's gonna keep their cool when you're running out of time.
Andy's very cool, by the way. Andy is on set, he's one of the most relaxed people ever. Like, everyone has their style, and it feels like Andy's at a backyard barbecue just kind of going.
It's panic underneath. It's like a duck paddling underneath.
Very well.
So that was a question. That was the next question I was going to ask, actually. So you each obviously had the parts of the film that you were responsible for and you directed, but did you also work on each other's parts as well in a different role?
Not really.
No?
So I co-wrote with Jake a lot of the film, and then Andy just individually wrote his piece. But we kind of let people do their thing. We didn't give too many. We would say,
set we did, but I mean. So obviously Jake and Airell wrote quite a bit of it, and then in post, me and Jake did the edit between us. And if on set, we didn't step on each other's toes.
No, it's pretty much. It was scary because what it was
pre and post production has been very much a collaborative thing. But obviously on set, you want to be like, "Oh mate, I'd probably do it like that." You don't want that, so we did all keep the respect. Of everybody.
It's actually good as well, Keith, because what it does is when you do an anthology with really talented people, you step your game up quite a bit because you're like because everyone's going to show it's like show and tell with teacher or something, and you go, oh, here's my bit, and you're like, oh shit, better be good. And so it really pushes you. If it's just your movie, you haven't got so much of that going on, but of course people are watching different styles, so
it totally does. I shot mine third after I'd seen some of what Ludovica was doing and Jake was doing. So Ludovica had got that Peep Show set she'd got. It looked beautiful. Chiara, Diana with the crazy makeup and the outfit. And then Jake, obviously, he's got insane things happening in his. I need to do something that's going to kind of stand up to this, really, and not.
You had a great location, though. Your location
was the thing in the middle, so you've got to be like, okay. But we had mine is set in a horrible, grimy basement that's filling up with water, and we shot it in a horrible, grimy basement that was filling up with water. It had a water pump and if you turned off the water pump, which you needed to do for sound, it would slowly fill up with sewage water.
Oh,
So, you didn't have to act, you didn't have to set dress, it was where it was, and that obviously helped when you've got such a short time to make the film. It kind of helps that people don't have to pretend where they are. We generally tied people up in a basement that had mold going on the walls and was filling up with dirty water.
nice.
Yeah, that location was great. Mine was the Shoreditch kind of apartment that was quite a unique apartment. I thought that was great. Very lucky for Andy and I, really, because you just shoot all the good stuff with your DOP and you've just got that one thing. When it was the Black Rabbit, very quickly lighting new locations all the time. And that is a hell of a challenge. We went to a cocktail bar and
I was
things.
going to say, shooting in Soho at night. As
that was a
well. I
nightmare,
mean,
That was all guerrilla. That was
guerrilla, and that was incredibly hard.
Film council, we didn't pay.
Yeah, everyone was jumping at the camera.
What did you actually shoot the film on? What was the cameras that you used on this?
We had the
I only asked.
Did we have the Alexa? Did we have the Alexa?
It was a red camera.
It was the red, yeah.
The red camera, and I'd shot
anamorphic lenses,
graphic desires, and me and Vince together had tested out a bunch of lenses.
That's right.
And we'd found the right lenses that we wanted to use for that. And me and Vince both kind of fell in love with these lenses and were like, okay, yeah.
Well, the anamorphic lenses are
the anamorphic to give you the proper
lens flare.
No, absolutely, and all that stuff looks great. I mean, it's nice to shoot in that aspect ratio, but also with those lenses as well. It's
they give you they're vintage lenses, but they're rehoused vintage lenses. So you get loads of flare, loads of weird kind
of like a fairy tale quality you actually get to that. So the end of the image is slightly blurred, and it's quite nice for the Midnight Peep Show ghostly feel to actually team up with those lenses, and it is definitely the right choice for that project.
Yeah. And then I think we should also talk about production design and costume design and all of that. So do you want to talk about how you work with those guys?
Absolutely. So Jason Kelvin, our production designer, very good guy who I've known for a while. He gets right in there and he creates a world. So he built the Peep Show booth based on how they were. So in the 90s, they weren't there anymore when we made the film. So we had to kind of read historical kind of documents on the horrible orange wallpaper or orange carpets that have been in there and how they were built. You see them in movies like Mona Lisa, that Bob Hoskins film.
Yes.
You see great bits. I love that film. And it's that old Soho that's very much in there. So he built that and evoked that old Soho style. Andy got a great location, so we didn't have to build anything.
I can't credit the production design too much. So they did build me the lovely neon sign, fuck, marry, kill neon sign, which
Jace.
It's under my bed, which I'm sat on right now. But I
can't. Is it under your bed?
I have a 5-year-old child, so
you're not allowed to put that one on the wall.
Put it on the wall for some reason.
I put some blue lighting in here to try and evoke the sort of neon sign thing a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
I should have put it up there, right behind me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've only just.
Andy, yes, you should actually. Maybe there's still time for you to do that.
If we do another interview, I'll stick it up in the background. So yes,
and then Rachel did our costumes as well.
Huge amount to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In your bit, it was a great location. In Jake's bit, we had to, create a bit more of a world. And in the Midnight Peep Show, of course. But Jason and then Rachel, our costume lady, who brought a background in Italian theatre to proceedings. So the madam's quite panto almost at times because she's got quite a. But we needed to actually bring that down in the edit because it was a bit too comedic. Right. And just slightly edit around the right takes to make that a bit more menacing. Take a few lines out just to give it a bit more impact. And it worked in the end. But that's one where tonally we just had to keep an eye on that a little bit. But it was great bit of work from it.
And she got most of the costumes from Italy. So yeah, the wedding dress, which is kind of the hero.
Oh, that's a great dress. Yeah.
That was from Italy. And obviously the guys don't really wear much. So.
The six pack.
If you've not seen it yet, there's another reason to watch it.
There you go.
Lots of flesh on display.
Yes. Well, on that note, what about casting? I mean, it was a great cast you had in this. How, did you have a casting director? How did you come about, casting the actors that you have in this? Where did you find them? What?
Yeah, we did. We kind of had a couple of casting friends. Yeah, we kind of had some casting directors. Very
came through a physical casting.
Yeah, we sat in the thing, didn't we? In Finchley Road, and did quite a big audition day, which was fun.
We all did it together. All 4 directors, and we kind of auditioned for our own individual pieces, but quite a lot of the time we were like, oh, actually that person might be quite good for mine, because each of the sections
we wanted each other's people, basically.
Each of the sections have got a lead actress who's kind of late 20s, early 30s. So there was a few times when we were like, they'd maybe come in to read for one part, and we were like, actually, could you read for another one? So we were kind of swapping people around like a jigsaw puzzle, really, and trying to.
We had some great people. I mean, just talking about personal space very quickly. I love Rachel. I think Rachel did a great job. She played the leading lady who argues with her husband at the beginning, and then a guy called Ocean Harris who was great. He actually stepped in last minute after somebody had to drop out because of COVID, and he very quickly picked up the pace. But those 3 worked brilliantly, and I believed in them. And then we had Zach Galligan, and I'm a massive Gremlins fan. He was in Andy's books. He was doing the voiceover of the Games Master.
Right.
So when we had a curry with him, I literally thought I died and gone to heaven, because I love curry more than anything. And I love Gremlins more than anything. So I was sitting there eating a spicy curry while he was talking about Phoebe Cates and how they did a scene. I was just thinking, oh my God, this is pretty good. Because he was here for Comic-Con, so we got lucky.
I think we've got Vince Knight to kind of thank for
that
Vince
again.
He's going to be massive. But yeah, he'd worked with Zach on a film a few years back, the Madness in the Method, Jason Mewes film. And and he knew that Zach was in town for Comic-Con. And he was like, oh, we need this voiceover. Can you do it? And he said yes. And so, we went to his hotel room, recorded the voiceover, then all went for a curry with him. And he's like the nicest guy.
Happy days.
And it just, because we've got obviously quite a lot of newcomers to the film, and some of the people.
Got Chiara as well.
Their first feature. And then we had Zach, and we had Chiara, who's this kind of, she's done the Peter Strickland movie. She was in Duke of Burgundy.
Yeah, we like Chiara Gianna.
Sound system. Just adding that kind of touch of experience and a touch of gravitas.
And we found Sarah Diamond. So in the Black Rabbit, Sarah Diamond plays the wife. Richard Cotton's obviously amazing.
That's right.
He plays the leading man in the film. And Sarah Diamond was just vulnerable and powerful at the same time. So in the audition, when she did her bit, we all looked at each other and kind of went, wow, definitely her. So she's a name to watch, I think. I think Sarah will do some really great things.
I definitely think so. And
she's only got one other credit apart from you.
New. She came in, blew us all away. So we were like, oh, well, let's look at all her other credits. She must have a, credits wall. And we were like, she's done nothing. We thought, is she in witness protection or something? But no, she's just recent graduate from acting. And absolutely smashed it. So she's pretty new. Kind of the same with Miki, who's the lead girl in mine.
Are you cussing out, Andy? Is that
fairly new? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah. She's from a modelling background, and she'd done a little bit of acting before, but not huge amounts. But yeah, I just had a massive conversation with her, and she was like, I completely relate to this character.
Mhm.
Completely understand this character. Let me play her. And yeah, absolutely smashed it again. And then it was about trying to cast the three guys that, to try and make it believable, because you're not just kind of casting for best for the role, you're also casting believable couples.
Yes. Yeah, the chemistry thing.
Would that person? Could you see that person with that other person? And the three guys, it's almost like casting a boy band. You want three good-looking guys, but you want them to be different enough so that they kind of might appeal to different demographics. So that the audience should be playing along with our lead character as well. And okay, who would I pick out of these three? Guys?
I also really like the cameos in the Black Rabbit. So Bethan Walker, who played the Cheshire Cat, she's really terrifying. She's this lovely lady, mother of two, and then when we put the wax on her teeth for that role, and she came out, she was pure evil. Michael Myers has got nothing on how evil she is in that moment.
Oh yeah, James. And Ryan, who plays the Black Rabbit.
Ryan's great bit of casting. He's physically terrible. He's just great but presence, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
But all of the guys in the Black Rabbit, the taxi driver, the thug boyfriend, there were these you want really interesting faces when you cast, like strange old Soho faces. And so Jake found some really, really good people there in that audition process. But yeah, we're really happy with our cast. They say it's 90% of the success of a film. Kind of is, isn't it? Because they're up on the screen. It's really what they're just about them.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
At that stage.
Yeah. No, it's very important. And what about so I mean, how long was the actual shoot? How many days of production did you have on this?
Oh, that's a trick because we had the shutdown. So it was. Angie, do you know how many days you were given to shoot your?
I know how many days I was given. I've no idea how long. I know exactly.
They'll give me remind me.
I had 3
How
days.
Many days did you get?
I had
3 days. Wow, that is tight.
3 days in a basement to make 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's hard.
So it was tough.
I think I had 5 because it rolled over. I had 5 or 6 because we had to keep shutting down. I think Jake had about 7, maybe. It was tough though. There's one day in the Hush House, in the Black Rabbit at the end, without giving anything away, you go into a very big kind of warehouse space, and we had to do so many things in there that should have taken about 3 days. And I learned a lot from Jake's preparation because he prepared it in this military fashion, and he executed every 5 minutes, it felt, something really difficult right up until the end of that day. Right. And turned 3 days' work into 1 day's work. And that was a real lesson in pre-production and directing the film before you turn up.
Yeah,
I think that's a real tactic to the Hitchcock thing, right? Make it before all you're there to do is record it and find happy accidents. So if you can shot list it rather than storyboarding, because I think shot listing can be unless you've got a great artwork or you work with a great artist, I think that's a bit harder. But to shot list it so carefully and know your costume, have done the work with the actors, and then turn up and execute. That was a really big lesson that I took from watching him work on that day. Yeah. And from Andy acting so chilled.
I agree. It's really important. I mean, this is the thing with digital now. You can, shoot the shit out of something because, you're not burning through expensive film and stuff. However, you've still only got X amount of hours to actually make the thing, right? So I always think, treat it as if you're, shooting on film, and you've got to have sort of the edit already done in your head when you get there. And you can always deviate from it if you find something interesting, because that's part of the fun of it. But if you don't have a plan, I've seen people get really lost, You can do. And then it turns into sort of shooting by numbers, and just doing your master coverage, insert, whatever, which is great, you know, and that you can tell a story that way. But yeah, I agree. The more preps you can be, the better it's going to be on set, frankly, isn't it? You know. So,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Me and Jake we do both edit, so that kind of helps me when time is so limited, because you are almost editing in your head and going, okay, what are we going to use? What are we not going to use? So okay, let's not do the wide on this because I will never come to the wide on this. Let's go straight and we get our close-ups.
I like that. It's a very efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, you know, you might not edit it exactly how you imagined it, but it can help when time is so limited.
And that's a big argument, what Andy's saying. I do like the idea of not coverage. I like the M. Night Shyamalan thing of he actually storyboards every shot, and he'll even draw the amount of extras into the shot that he wants. He knows that they can't really mess with the edit because there's no other material. So it's just the shots that he wanted. It's a dangerous game.
From an editor's point of view, that's a dangerous game, because I've seen it also from the other side when I've worked with
doesn't work that sometimes.
Not so much you, Errol. But yeah, when you're like, okay, right, okay, what other shots have we got on this? What other angles did we get? And the director's like, no, I only wanted it to be from this angle. This beat was at this angle, so we did the one shot on it. Yeah. And you're like, oh, if I had
it would have been nice to have the close
wide or something to cut to. And
there are those moments.
It can work both ways.
It does, but sometimes you just don't have time to get all the shots on your shot list. You sacrifice things, and you have to say, well, if we did it like that. But the dream scenario is to have a very clear idea without coverage of what you want, and then to cover some scenes, I guess, to have a bit of a backup. But that debate's always quite an interesting one. I always quite like that. And I think I like it.
Yeah. I mean, there are no rules, are there? This is the thing. It's like, you know, there's many ways of doing these things, but it's all about telling the best story and showing the best story, isn't it?
That's why something like this is really interesting to watch, because obviously we'd all read the script before for the whole thing, and then we were like, okay, how is so and so going to do this bit? And I'd read everything beforehand, and I was like, well, I kind of know how I'm going to do mine, but how on earth are these three other guys going to pull off these shots or these scenes? So it's really interesting, and obviously there are differences. It is a cohesive film. It does look like it all fits together with the same DOP and everything, but still, obviously, there's differences in the shots, because that's where the individuality of the directors comes in.
It played well in Biff. We took it to Biff.
Oh yes, yeah.
It was so much fun. The audience is mad. They how do we say that? So that they have certain habits. So anytime someone picks up a phone, I learned in personal space, in quite a dramatic moment, they go, "What's up? What's up?" They think it's a scary movie, and they do. Anytime someone opens a door, they creak, or they have these weird habits. So every movie turns into this kind of jokey carnival. But then they kind of get behind the movie at some point. Right. And then treat it very seriously. But there are certain things where if somebody does something in a film, that audience is an utter mad swarm of people at Biff. It's a great festival. I really love it. Right. But you learn visual storytelling quickly, because we told the story visually, I think, in Midnight Peepshow. But you realize that that's what's really translating for their moments of clapping and screaming. And it really is about solving everything visually if you can. So some of the movies that I saw at Biff, they weren't doing that so much, and you could tell from the reaction. So you just want to throw in those visual juxtapositions and surprises, and that's really what gets the audience going internationally, because I love that horror is so international. It's all over the world. And Fright Fest is quite British, and well, no, it's not. It's got films from all over the world, but the audience are fairly tame at Fright Fest, I feel, having been to Screamfest and Sitges and other ones. where the emotions are a bit bigger. But I like our austere Fright Fest audience. They're not that austere.
It's because they tell us to turn our bloody phone off.
Ian has got a close eye on us.
And all of that. So, which has become a tradition, which I do appreciate, actually.
Oh, I love Fright Fest with all my heart. It is our Christmas with a slightly austere Santa Claus in Ian Rattray, but we love him. And McAvoy is the mad Santa.
Yeah.
And Alan Jones of many cool things. Yes.
I want to ask then about let's talk. We've obviously talked about the prep for this and the production itself. What about the post production? Because I feel there's things we should talk about, like the music. Obviously, you worked on the edit, Andy. Were there any visual effects and things that you had in this film, or was everything done in camera?
There's not a huge amount of digital stuff, but there's a few effects in each film.
They did a great job. Yeah,
bloodshed. And our VFX guy did a great job. But then there's also some kind of invisible fixes in there, screen replacements and stuff. The less glamorous stuff that has to go into a movie these days.
The
sound mix was a nightmare.
I mean, it's a hard work, but it is so important, Keith, as you know.
Yeah.
The whole thing with horror is sound. It's just so key. So it's very hard as well. The detailed work that goes into a sound mix, and we didn't have all the money in the world, and I think the guy we worked with did a great job under extreme circumstances.
Yes, our previous sound designer pulled out not too long before we had to screen at Fright Fest. So we had to get somebody in at late notice. I mean, and that very much concentrates the mind, because you've got a hard date. Your Fright Fest.
Got a great DCP. Yeah, well, that's very supernatural. Paranormal activity.
Literally, that's genuinely my lamp next to my bed, and it flickers like it's in a David Lynch film.
That's
awesome. And it just comes on and turns itself on every now and again.
That's great.
But yes, we kind of had the date that we had to get everything finished by, and not only did we have a date, we knew it was going to be on the IMAX screen.
Yeah.
So any little glitch on that sound effect is going to sound like a cannon. Any little glitch in the pixels on the IMAX screen is going to be, as big as a house. So
I got to test it. Actually, it was very, very exciting, Keith. I went in one morning to Cineworld Empire to test the movie on the super screen, and you just sit there with your sound mixer, and it's amazing. Wow, watching it on the cinema. But yeah, you just hope the sound all works, and it did. It generally played really great. I feel like the atmosphere again of the wraparound story, because I like supernatural things. So it's weird that we go into the supernatural with that wraparound. The other stories are based pretty much in reality, but I really like the weird quality of it. I saw Blue Velvet the other night at Prince Charles Cinema.
Yes.
And we love Lynch, he's great. And Blue Velvet's such a fucking crazy, weird film. It was so good to see that again. But we wanted to evoke something of that with that weird madam and the sounds that we hear. And my feeling is that the soundscape in that part plays great. And the only reason I bring it up so much is that because we're based in reality, most of the time in the other things, you can't hit the heights of weirdness that you can in the wraparound. And I really enjoy what we do with some of the stuff there.
Yeah, no, it did sound really good. And like you said, that's an unforgiving theatre, that Cineworld IMAX Screen 8 or whatever it is. It's very unforgiving. Things don't look or sound tip top. It can be. So that looked great. What about, I want to ask, I mean, music's very important in horror, as we know. Sometimes the lack of it is as important as it being there. But you've got, is it 3 composers that worked on this? Is that right?
We came because Jake had Simon Boswell.
Yes.
incredible composer.
Yeah.
But he's kind of really good friends with Simon. And so he pulled in a favor to get him to work on that film. And
that was so exciting. I mean, Stage Fright, Dust Devil, Shallow Grave. Wow.
Yeah.
And
but we couldn't afford to all get.
No, we weren't.
Unfortunately. So then we all had to kind of go out and find people.
We had amazing people. I mean, I was lucky in that I had Rusty Egan, who's big on disco and kind of club music. So that worked because they live above a club. And then Andy's soundscape worked really well in the end. What you had there?
Yeah, it's a guy called Andy Fosbury who I'd not worked with before, but he's worked with Proportion Productions.
Oh right, yeah,
and Jagged Edge guys. Going back to those guys, and he'd been messaging me saying, be good to work together. So yeah, I thought, well, let's test it out on this kind of 20 minutes thing, and it was very, very different because obviously for Airell's he needed songs really to go in his kind of club world, whereas in mine it's very much one long scene. It was all about atmosphere,
ticking clock, tension building,
just building up the tension, bringing back just loads of tension beds basically.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. We were very lucky in that we were given a lot of freedom. So Dovile Kirvelaityte, our amazing producer, was great at keeping everyone together. And Vinod Malgewar from afar with Golden Gate Productions. He was actually in San Francisco, but gave us the freedom to make quite a crazy film. It felt like, because this movie is kind of old school in some of the things it does. There's obviously a few extreme moments and things like that. So you want to be able to not self-censor and actually do that. So we were able to do that through the soundscape and through the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, important for everyone.
Yes. Sorry, no, I was going to say I just bunged the credits up there on the screen.
Oh, the credits are there, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Just to make sure, we don't
miss everyone is great.
Everybody
so
gets a mention.
But
we weren't censored, and that was
amazing,
one of the things that I know that Jake would talk about if he was here, because he's worked on some bigger budget stuff and he's got a bigger budget werewolf movie in the works. But obviously, the bigger the budget, the more strings that comes with, the more conditions that comes with. So I think Jake especially enjoyed going back to his roots really, and just making a film where he went, I'm going to have this crazy thing happen, and nobody go, no mate, can't have that.
He loved it. It was it was a playpen for him and his very twisted mind and desires, but it's good. I mean, he's obviously open to everyone is, Andy, myself, we like alternative ideas and storytelling and things that are outside of the norm. I think you do, Keith. I think horror film fans like, there's a lot of creativity in the genre, a lot of eroticism done in the right way. We had an intimacy coordinator, Jamila, on the film, and that was good, because when you're doing sex scenes and an intimacy coordinator goes in and tells the actors, you're gonna, if you're okay with it, do that. Actually, the thing is that it can go a lot further than it would normally, because when the trust is there, people can really fly with what they're meant to do in that moment. So actually, intimacy coordinators enable enable the scene to really fly sometimes, because some people think, it's very restricting to have that, but it's actually not. It's the opposite. You can actually go way further, in my opinion.
It was Sean Bean who said recently, wasn't it, that he didn't like working with intimacy coordinators because he felt
did he say that?
Ruin the moment or something.
But what didn't he like? He didn't like
he didn't like them ruining the spontaneity, but I don't think it's about that, because I worked with Jamila on the previous film, Graphic Desires, which is an erotic thriller. So I knew I had to work with an intimacy coordinator on that. And it's a very new role that's not really existed in film for more than a couple of years, really.
So
it was the first time I'd ever worked with one. and I found it to be invaluable, really, and I wouldn't do an intimate scene without one now. And then when I came onto Midnight Peepshow, I was like, okay, we've got these scenes. I think we should use an intimacy coordinator, and brought Jamila on and introduced
lovely.
Them, introduced them to all the other guys, and was said, like, I think this is going to really help us. Especially
one of the things I noticed with the film, actually, and again, no spoilers here as such, but there is a lot of sex in your film, but there wasn't a huge amount of nudity.
No.
It was actually the way you'd done it was quite. I mean, it was still visceral and realistic, and and intimate and erotic and all of those sort of things. But there was nothing that felt sort of gratuitous.
No, I think it's because it's more erotic when the hand goes up the skirt, as it were. It's more erotic to have people clothed sometimes in these things. I love, as does Andy, not only horror but those mid-90s films like Basic Instinct but I mean, Basic Instinct's brilliant. But then you've got things like, they're naked in that, but it works very well. But then there's 80s ones like Wild Orchid, and a brilliant film that everyone listening should watch, maybe every day, called Two Moon Junction.
Oh, yes.
Two Moon Junction is the best crazy erotic thriller ever. What is that movie? It's mad. But so I think that you don't necessarily need to take everything off. If it's an exploitation film, then that's a different kind of thing.
Sorry, what was that?
If it's an
I thought you was just quoting that song. You don't have to take your clothes off to have a good time.
Oh, right.
But I mean,
you can leave your hat on, as they say, in 9.5 weeks.
Right.
I wanted to make mine especially very much equal opportunities. In terms of the kind of nudity and flesh on display, there's kind of nothing that our female character does that our guys don't do. We put them through it in terms of kind of sexuality and nudity.
In fact, Andy directed his entire segment naked for the whole 3 days to make people feel comfortable.
It was hot in that basement.
Yeah,
it was an amazing approach to it. I thought it was very brave.
Yeah.
Everyone out there, did he do that?
Everybody's thinking now of the making of documentary, right?
Yes. No one would want to watch that then.
Oh my god.
No.
Actually, I heard that.
But yes, I mean, it's definitely something I'd recommend to, obviously, I think, to independent filmmakers, because it's a very new role, this role of intimacy coordinator. And, the ones that have been working for anything, longer than a couple of years are all working on an HBO and Netflix series, because they've all got some sex in there somewhere. So it can be quite hard to maybe find somebody, but I think that's kind of no excuse for, at the low budget level, to kind of skip on that. It's like skipping on a stunt coordinator and going, oh, it's fine, we'll give them some padding and hope they don't injure themselves. I think for stunts, which we did on Midnight Peepshow, if you're gonna do a stunt, get a stunt coordinator for the day, and if you're gonna do an intimate scene, get an intimacy coordinator, and you only need to bring them in for the days that you're actually shooting those scenes, the same as you would with a stunt coordinator. So in terms of cost, you're not adding a huge amount to your budget.
Sure.
And it just helps so much with your making sure your actors are safe, but also your crew. It protects the production, and obviously protects the actors. And as we were saying, if everybody feels they're in a safe environment, then the scenes may well fly more than they would do, and you get more than you won't. So I would recommend to everyone out there that they go out and find somebody if they can, and it just it will help your production, making everyone feel safe.
It's important that, as I said, everybody feels safe and secure on a set. So I agree entirely. So you've obviously it screened at Fright Fest, which was amazing, and like you said, that was quite a buzz, especially with your history with horror and Fright Fest and things of that nature. You said it showed at Biff as well, right? Which was fantastic. What's the plan now? I mean, are you able to say, has this been picked up? Are we going to be able to see it anywhere? Are any viewers here going to be able to catch this somewhere? What's the plan moving forward?
Yeah, it's very close, Keith. It's very close. Okay. So we've got another festival this weekend. We've got a couple more festivals where it's playing. What is this weekend, Andy? We're going to
Chiara Cinema in Derby.
Nice.
That's right.
So, you must, and be that's a really fun part, right? You must be, because as a filmmaker, the thing you always want is for your film to have an audience. I mean, why else would we put ourselves through it, right? The film needs an audience, right? So you must be, I mean, I can't think of anything more exhilarating than seeing something that you put all that work into getting shown on a big screen with an audience. I mean, that must be fantastic, right?
Yes, it really is.
You must be having a great time doing this tour with it.
It's a buzz. I mean, especially for that first Fright Fest screening. I mean, I think all of us probably had Fright Fest in mind when we were making it, but then to be shown at almost midnight and next to Soho, where a lot of it was filmed.
Yes,
it was just like, where else would it be?
Yeah.
It was great. In terms of distribution, we're lucky in that we got some choices. It would seem there's a few people that we're having some really deep chats with now about where that can go. So we haven't signed it off yet, but it should be really soon, probably next week actually, that we sign it off with somebody. So you break it all up. Obviously, America. It's quite a British film. In a way, we love Amicus, so it's like a naughty Amicus film. Or we hope. I mean, I dream of it being like that because we love Amicus so much. But to break into America, of course, is always the key territory. I think that in Japan and Germany, it might go down well. There's some places, so you break the countries up and see where it can go, and the sales agents do what they're going to do. So that bit's really exciting to share it with the greater world as well.
Sure. So, and is it, I mean, obviously we live in this sort of world now where, if you can get theatrical, amazing, but of course there's streaming and obviously my channel, Home Media Minefield, there's, physical media, all of that sort of thing. So is that just currently in the hands of whatever the agent's able to negotiate for those territories? Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, I miss physical media and things. So the streaming universe doesn't really work very well for horror, because if you're watching, not that this kind of film's a bit different, but if you're watching The Woman in Black on your iPhone while arguing with your wife and the kids, and then you're making dinner, you're not getting the experience. And if you think about how many iPhones fill up an IMAX screen or even a regular cinema screen, it's so alienated from people in the dark watching a horror. I am all for horror at the cinema. I believe in it with all my heart.
Yeah.
So that's where we live. We live in the streaming universe. But I think theatre has bounced back. And I saw tons of new, really interesting horror films, like Hatching this week was on at Cineworld, even though the share has plummeted. So I hope that Cineworld get bought out. But I think the thing is that there is a future for horror in the cinema forever, certainly in our lifetimes, and that's really good news, because that's where it should be. And that's why Fright Fest was so great, because wherever it goes after that, you went to church for that one night. Properly went to church with it, and that works. Everyone loves the big screen. It's what we all grew up watching. So we want it to, I don't know if it'll go to cinemas. It'll probably have a streaming future, to be honest, but that's good. And I love Shudder. I really love Shudder. It's curated and
great platform.
And Amazon has got a lot of horror content. I get a bit lost with trying to find what's where. Netflix is good, but maybe less horror. It's all good. And the AVOD stuff in America, so long as people love consuming it, that's the key thing. And they do. The horror fans are really loyal. You don't get festivals for romantic comedy. You get that for horror. It's a very loyal fan base.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
One other question I want to ask you. I appreciate we're getting into the sort of aiming for the 90 minutes ourselves here at this rate. So, which is
90
great.
minutes is perfect for a feature film.
Exactly. It's
Maybe
perfect.
for an
This is the sequel.
I want to ask you both. What from your point of view as a filmmaker, what would you say the biggest thing you've learned from the experience of Midnight Peep Show is? Either one of you.
I mean, I think.
Andy, do you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, I think in terms of
Oh,
learning.
we lost Andy.
No,
Or have you lost him?
I'm still here. I think it's your internet.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a delay.
Oh, hang on. I may have lost internet here. Let me just.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll carry on while he reconnects.
I was going to say, while he's reconnecting, let's hear from you, Andy.
I mean, I think one of the the best thing in terms of filmmakers for working on the anthology we were talking a bit about earlier is that it is a teamwork effort with other directors, and
Is it
without
mine?
the
Yeah.
world's
Okay.
tiniest violin out, directing can be a lonely job because there's only one of you on set.
I'm going to come back.
There might be a bunch of you in the camera team or a bunch of you
Yeah.
in the crew cast, but there's only one director on set, so there's only one of you doing your job unless you're a duo or something. So to be on a film where there are 3 other people that you can bounce ideas off, share horror stories, learn from and teach each other. And I went along to watch Ludovica direct her section. I've been sat with Jake in the edit because we both edited our own sections and then both worked across the edits for the other 2. So yeah, learning from seeing other people direct, because as a director, you don't see that.
Mhm.
You only have yourself to kind of to watch. So getting to watch other people direct, both on set, see how they operate in pre-production, see how they ran their auditions, because we all auditioned everybody at the same time, but for each individual section, that director ran the audition, and seeing how they ran the audition and worked with their actors. So that was for me really rewarding, I think.
Cool.
And I think Airell's not paid his internet
I think
provider.
we're just trying to get him back now. Hold on one second. I think Airell, are you there? Hello? Oh dear. Just got a blank screen. What a shame.
Oh, this is like Host.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
One of us disappear one at a time.
Somebody's going to come and up behind him or something. Oh, what a shame. What a shame that we've lost him.
Well, yeah, he might be back at some point. But...
Yeah. Let me take him out in a second. Okay. The other question I was going to ask you both as well. Is just kind of, what's next for you? What have you got? You mentioned that there's some other projects in the pipeline. Just wondered whether anything you can tell us about and what you're working on.
Totally. So I had it's been quite a busy time actually recently for me. Just loads of things kind of coming to fruition at the same time. So I also worked on a film called The Ghosts of Monday, which also played at Fright Fest. I was one of, I think, 5 co-writers on that film. It had a crazy sort of route to production. But that played at Fright Fest, stars Julian Sands, and that is out now in the UK on streaming and on demand. I also have the erotic thriller that I was talking about, Graphic Desires. That came out about 3 weeks ago on streaming and on demand as well.
All right.
So that you can watch that on Amazon. It's also on Virgin and on Sky on their on-demand platforms. So if you like the work of Vince Knight, cinematographer, and there's a couple of actors as well from Midnight Peep Show who are also in that as well.
Right. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Bit of a crossover. So yeah, that's available right now.
Cool.
And then lastly, I'm in post on a movie called Punch.
Right, I saw that on your credits. Yeah, okay.
Is a seaside slasher movie featuring an evil Mr. Punch as our killer. And the kind of idea behind that is Britain doesn't have its own iconic slasher. We don't have a Freddy or a Jason or anything, and so I wanted to change that with Mr. Punch. So we've got a very American style story of teenagers in a town set over one night being attacked by a masked killer. But it's set in a seaside town. We shot in Hastings and a little bit in Clacton-on-Sea. And yeah, we shoot on piers and in chip shops and in amusement arcades and in caravan parks. So yeah, it's very British killer in very British locations.
Right.
And that's in post at the moment. We've got few actors in it that you might recognise. Kirsten Waring, who was in Fish Tank.
Yeah.
BAFTA nominated as well. And Jamie Lomas, who's in Hollyoaks.
Fish Tank, right?
She was in Fish Tank with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
She plays the mother in that.
Right.
And she's done a whole bunch of TV and stuff. So she's done EastEnders, she's done Hollyoaks, she's done all of the soaps and stuff. But she's also worked with Andrea Arnold and Ken Loach, and really talented actress. A guy called Jamie Lomas, who's in Hollyoaks. Right. He's also done EastEnders, reality TV stuff. And a guy called Daniel Fathers, who was in The Void. Remember that one, the Canadian horror movie?
That was a great movie. I like that.
Great movie, great movie. Yeah, so he's got a little cameo. So yeah, so I'm just in post production on that at the moment, and hopefully finish by the end of the year, and then to hit the festivals next year.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at the cast there. There's a few names I've worked with there as well.
Oh yeah, there's some kind of UK horror names as well. So you might recognise Danny Thompson.
Yeah.
Aviana Snow, Sarah Alexandra Marks. Yeah, they're all fans of UK indie horror will recognise all of those guys. And yeah, they're all super cool actresses who are always ready to get killed in a movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
and poor old Sarah, she's been killed by killer crocodiles and killer dinosaurs, and so I just gave her one more screen death.
Good for you. That's cool. I think Airell's back. Hold on.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry, I bloody hate when the internet cuts out.
I know. Well,
but yeah, the question was, what did I learn, right? So I learned.
That's the first question.
Going back.
So on the recap, very quickly, I answered it earlier. It's that thing about make the movie before you make it. Whenever I make anything now, I'll rehearse it to death. I will not to death, but rehearse it so it's a bit rehearsed. I will know my shot list inside out and my costumes, and just really as much as possible, so that in the moment you've got that freedom to veer from that, but to know the roadmap is really there, because that gives a lot of creativity. That structure allows the freedom, in my opinion. Like I said, when Jake did 3 days work in one day, it's because he planned it so rigorously, military style.
Yeah.
So that's the lesson I took away from that.
That's cool. The other question, which you missed Andy's answer to, was I was just wondering, what's next for you? Is there anything you're working on at the moment? Anything you're able to tell us about? Just what's next?
So we got firstly we got 3 found footage films. So I don't know why I've got so many found footage films. I think it's because in lockdown it was a project to do a series of seasonal found footage films. So we are nearly ready with Werewolf Santa with Mark Arnold from Teen Wolf.
There you go.
I was so starstruck meeting him, the basketball hero from that film, the bad guy, the bully, more than if I'd have met Tom Cruise, because I grew up watching Teen Wolf on loop. 1985, not the new annoying TV show called Teen Wolf. And then it's probably quite good. I just haven't seen it. So Emily Booth, a horror favorite, Fright Fest lady that I miss being there presenting. I wish she would come back and do more presenting because we love Emily Booth. She plays the mum in that, and that's a family who Santa gets bitten by a werewolf on Christmas Eve, turns into a werewolf and massacres small Hastings. It's meant to be set in Hastings, yeah. Although Andy had
yeah, okay.
I love setting things in Hastings. Hastings is a great location. It's where we did our found footage one.
The reason I shot Punch in Hastings was because of Airell. That's where he's from, and we did various places, location scouting. He took me down to his hometown and went, "My home is terrifying. You should film here." And I was like,
terrifyingly beautiful in the old town, and
beautiful and terrifying. So yeah.
Beautiful and terrifying is a good mixture. So yeah, I love it. It's great on camera. So there's also the Krampus calendar, which is about a cursed advent calendar. Obviously, we had an advent calendar horror film at Fright Fest a couple of years back, I think it was.
Yeah.
This one's very different. It's based on the Blue Whale game. I love that film. I thought that was great. This one is based on the Blue Whale game, which was a teenage suicide game that stemmed from Russia. It was a really horrific internet phenomenon. And we transferred that to an advent calendar where in the build up to Christmas, you carry out really weird tasks to invoke the devil. So that's a very different kind of advent calendar tale. And I really like that. That's coming out the minute we get that all edited. Working with people where you can't pay them full-time wages, sometimes things can be a bit slow. But that one, we'll work on that a lot more. And then I got given access to a Santa's grotto, like a big walk-through Christmas attraction last year. So I had to shoot another found footage film in there because I had to do something really quickly. And I thought, oh, this had better be a found footage thing. But the story was really creepy about a Santa that lost his mind in a grotto in the 80s and people spending Christmas Day in there and uncovering whether evil spirits made that Santa's grotto Santa kill a lot of people, or whether it was in the mind of that guy. So that was a weird, they're all Christmas themed found footage films, tons of them. So we got those, they're all coming out. And then wanted to do a project.
Christmas? Are they going to be out for Christmas?
Yeah, well, I want them to be out for Christmas 2095 probably, but we'll get it picked up the pace. Then there's another Christmas thing, which is Marley's Monsters. I love Christmas horror stuff. Basically.
You need to do a festival just of Christmas horrors.
I know. I love Christmas horror. I love Gremlins. I love Elves, the weird B movie Elves. I love Silent Night, Deadly Night. It just Christmas Evil. They're great films. So Marley's Monsters is a Christmas carol where Scrooge is visited by three monsters who show him horrific stories of greed gone wrong. So that's a fully amped up, bloody monster mash of a Scrooge film. And developing the script for that. And then we have to do something set in the summer again because it's all too Christmassy. So we'll see. Oh, no, we got one. Foam Party Massacre. Yeah, that'll be fun. So that one does what it says on the tin. A foam party with a massacre, but it's a one-take slasher film. So we follow them as they go clubbing in Magaluf probably or somewhere like that. And we're going to have to really rehearse those kills and get them right, unless we do some invisible cuts, like in Rope, the Hitchcock one. Maybe do that.
Love that kind of narrative. Love it.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Because One Cut of the Dead obviously was a great one-take zombie thing. I didn't see the remake at Fright Fest, but I bet it was really good.
Yeah.
So lots going on, and she's got to raise a load more money to pour into these things. And then so got to go and raise some money now, and then make them all until we die. We love it until we die. Yeah. That's it.
That's great. No, I mean, I love to, as I said, I like to get guests on here that have the passion for it, or like we do, so that's great. Where can people reach you guys if you want people to reach you? Do you have
would people want to reach us after this?
Yes, Andy is on what, because my Instagram got hacked, so don't find me on Instagram.
Don't. I got some dodgy Bitcoin messages from you just today. So don't follow Airell on Instagram.
I do not support Bitcoin.
Andy Edwards, filmmaker, and my production company is Paranoid Android Films. So if you search Paranoid
Marvin, the Paranoid Android.
Marvin the Paranoid Android. So it's kind of it's 50% Marvin the Paranoid Android and 50% the Radiohead song.
Right.
Depending on your age, people are either, oh my god, Hitchhikers, or oh my god, Radiohead. It's kind of it's both. So Paranoid Android Films. I'm on Twitter and on Instagram, Paranoid Android Films. So find me there. Although don't Google the website because the hosting company deleted it this week. They renewed the website, and as a glitch, when they renewed the website, deleted it. So I'm working at the moment to try and get that back up. But there will be a website, Paranoid Android Films. There was one last week, and there isn't this week. But yes, you'll find me Instagram and Twitter.
Fair enough.
I'm on Airell at hauntedcinema.com or Facebook. My name is quite unique. AIRELL Airell Hayles, HAYLES. And there's definitely ways to contact me on there, but not Instagram, because I'll try and sell you Bitcoin, and that isn't me. That isn't me. I haven't got time to be selling Bitcoin.
That's how he funds his films, Bitcoin scams.
Shit, cat's out the bag.
Well, guys, if you're still with us here, you can obviously thank you for watching this video. Please consider giving us a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so that you get notifications as and when stuff drop. If you want to get in touch with us directly, you can find us at lswotcast@gmail.com. That's Let's See What's Out There cast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media at LSWOT or Home Media Minefield. If you want to see some of my creative work, I've got another channel called British Isles. That's EYLES, as in my last name. And you can see a series of short films, anthology of films there called the Urban Chiller Tales, which I've made completely independently, with my own money, etc., etc. So check that out. And I'm currently working on a feature called Car Cam, which I hope to have more news on very soon. But sorry,
is that a found footage one?
Kind of, yes. So it's something that was starting to film before the pandemic and has been on hold for a little while. So I'm resuming that very soon. But that just leaves me really to thank you both for your time. I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing this. I want to say congratulations to you both, and also please pass that on to everybody else involved, the other filmmakers and all your crew. I think we've credited quite a lot of your cast and crew today, hopefully. And I wish you every success with the film, and anybody watching here, please keep a lookout for Midnight Peep Show. It's really worth a watch. On that note, thank you both, and we will see you next time on the next episode of Home Media Minefield presents Let's See What's Out There. Bye for now.
Thank you.